So what was it about the film noir genre that really kind of pulled you guys in? I wasn't familiar with that genre until I started reading about you guys, and I think The Bridge did a piece in Johnson County Library.
Yeah.
The interview with you guys, we talked about the film noir. And so I think you obviously nailed like all the cues, like black and white, smoking a cigarette, kind of that whole depression-ish, kind of the small glimmer of hope, but probably not really.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of came just...
For me, it's just the simplicity of it. It's kind of like, this is what we're giving you. Like, take it as it is. It's not over the top. I don't know. There's just something about it that is beautiful to me personally.
Yeah, always liked the style of it, and I'm not somebody who's really like well versed in like films from that era. I'm not like, but I like the style of it. I mean, Portishead's one of my biggest influences, and that their whole like image and sound is pretty much derived from film noir. And
right.
I mean, they sample like soundtracks from films that were of that kind of era and stuff. And the song Kill for What You Love has kind of that same sound a little bit too. Like, I mean, the beginning of it sounds like it's kind of cheesy, but like the start of the song sounds sort of unintentionally like, you know, somebody walks into like an interrogation room. So like that's kind of where the idea of like having the interrogation scene sort of like stem from, just kind of popped up, you know, in our heads. Yeah, but like she said, it's real simple. It's very deliberate too. A lot of that style is very deliberate. It's I think especially working in black and white too, we had a little bit more freedom just to kind of shoot on the go and not really worry too much about getting everything right, because with shooting video, like getting color right and stuff is kind of the toughest part.
Sure.
And lighting. So like we were able just to kind of go out and shoot and use the idea of the story, which is more of like the star of like the video was kind of the story, like kind of stick to that and be able to just do it all in one day and shoot. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that just the way the song sounded lended to the style of the film noir style. And I don't know, the way the sound of the song kind of just came. I don't know if that was something that we intentionally made it wanted it to sound like it was like the film noir style. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, we just made the song and it seemed to fit that genre, and we're like, well, we should do a video in that style for it. Yeah,
because I mean, like I said earlier, when she wrote, you know, the song and sang the melody and had the lyrics all written out, so it was just putting the music behind it. It just kind of just happened. And then you listen to the other songs on the EP, like they don't really follow that same. They don't really sound like that. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the next song, it's more of like I always thought it kind of sounded like The Police a little bit, you know? And then... So it kind of just goes in a little bit of a different direction. It's not all like that. But for that specific song and that specific video, like we wanted to kind of try something like that. But do it in a modern way too, you know, not like make it look like it took place, you know, in the mid like 20th century, you know, make it look like it's something, because obviously it's like a Toyota Camry video. So
they had those back then.
Yeah. Seems like it.
So for her scene, when you were singing, Ashley, was everything like in double time and then you slowed it down, but it looked like you were singing normally?
Yeah, it was slow motion.
Yeah.
So she had to sing it. You just sing it sped up.
Yeah, I sang it sped up.
Okay.
And then there was a part where we did it in reverse too. We like reversed the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene was kind of hard to get down because I had to be right, like singing it faster and like right on cue.
Yeah.
So I got frustrated during that scene actually. I was ready to kill him.
Well, it was a lot of it too was because you were doing it, because we kind of choreographed it too, where we didn't go into it thinking we were going to do it this way, but we kind of choreographed it to where you were singing it, but then you'd have like certain like motions, especially with smoking the cigarette, like you take a drag at a certain point in the song, and then like you would like turn your head a certain way at a certain point. So like we were kind of like blocking the whole thing, and having her singing at the same time, and it was very late at night, and we were both tired, and she was because she, I mean, you know,
so the anger in that scene is real.
It's real.
Where I'm like hitting the table, I'm like.
And I tried the whole, like, would you speed up the song and lip sync to it? Like, I tried it myself to kind of see if it would work and how it would sync up. And it's hard. It's not as easy as you would.
And you got to be real articulate too with your lips, right? So it like looks like you're saying the actual words.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like we always say that you need to like actually sing the song when you're doing it, because it doesn't really look like you're singing if you just like mouth the words, but if you actually sing it. But with something like that, you can't really actually sing it. Yeah. You have to sort of like mouth it, and it didn't line up the whole way through, and that was fine. You know, I mean,
I was whispering it very quietly.
You
got pretty damn close though. It looked real good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those things too. With I think with the lip syncing of it, like it was more of a stylistic thing where it might not have looked like she was really singing it, but I think because of the way we were doing it, and it was like this interrogation scene, and it was like it could kind of get off, and it would be fine. Like there was a point where like we had you stop singing, like you kind of turned, like your vocals didn't match up. That was something I saw in a music video from the 90s, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was like where she was singing, and it was like a girl singing. It might have been a Portishead video, and I think she was singing, and then she like quit singing and like kind of turned her head away, and I always thought that was cool. So.
Yeah.
So even the part where I wasn't supposed to show my eyes, like the hat was supposed to cast a shadow on them until the very end. And that was hard too, because naturally you want to move around. And I'm like, okay, I have to make sure my chin is at a certain level so you can't see my eyes. And
I don't think we'd planned on that really. We didn't want to show your eyes, but we didn't really have an idea for why. And then at the end of the video, she has like those dead eyes.
Yeah,
and that was
fully black.
And that was something that was decided, like that we didn't know we were going to do that. It was just like this kind of idea that like you never see her eyes, and then like, well, what if then when you finally see her whole full face, that like her eyes are like black or something, you know? So that was, I think, the last day of editing that we came up with that idea. Kind of again going into something without a complete idea of what you're going to do. It just kind of comes along.
Yeah,
that might be our thing. It's worked
it's
so
working.
far.
To start shooting. Yeah, maybe if we start planning stuff, it won't go as well.
So what's the time devotion from like shooting to post? Is it like a 50-50 or shooting like 20% of the full time and then 80% is in post?
Well, it depends on the video. Yeah, I mean Truest Blue was. I mean, even though we had a lot of shots, a lot of it was animated, so that one was mostly post. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it always takes longer in post, I think, no matter what.
Yeah.
But
if there's any type of animation, that's what. Thankfully, you do all that.
Yeah.
That's what takes so long, because I mean, it's just every little second of the frame he has to make sure is
it takes a
perfect.
while. But yeah, with kill what you. I always say kill for love. Kill what you love. Yeah, that one we shot. I mean, that didn't take too long to edit. It was pretty quick because we kind of went into it with a pretty specific idea of what we were going to do. And there were some things we had kind of tweak in the editing room. But yeah, like I said, I think it just kind of depends on the video. There was one video that we did it was kind of for fun. Back when they had the ALS ice bucket challenge.
I saw that. That was awesome.
I
was like, holy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, eyes wide shut kind of feel to it.
Yeah, and that was before Shadow Rabbits. I mean, that was so Bo, who plays in Shadow Rabbits, the guitarist, he was the guy getting the ice dumped on his head. Us three had just decided to do that one day because my dad, I think, challenged me or something. He was like, "Oh, you gotta do it."
Like, we'll do it, but we're gonna do it
let's do something
in our style.
Yeah. But like that one, we went out and shot it. It took us a couple hours to shoot it, and I think we edited it in like 10 minutes. I think we came home and just like cut it together. It was like sweet. It's like everything just worked really well, and we're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like it's done." So, but then you do stuff with like animation and all that, and then that can take, I think Truest Blue took 6 months to edit and animate.
Oh, wow.
Much. So not too excited about doing another video that takes 6 months too, but
I don't think this next one, there'll really be a lot of animation, so it shouldn't take that long, hopefully.
Yeah, it's going to be, the whole concept of the video is because she wrote it saying about like David Bowie. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, without going into detail what the video is actually about, it kind of plays on the idea of people's reactions to like these tragic events or like celebrity deaths or like something that's happened a lot in this past year.
Sure.
Obviously. And you see people's reactions on social media. But it's a video, I think, that's going to play on the idea of when something like that happens, kind of everyone, all these different people around the world sort of have this like tied connection to it, or they at least seem like they do, you know? So we're kind of playing on that idea a little bit.
Yeah, they all come together over this one.
Kind of different characters and stuff. I think we're going to try to shoot it in sort of like a like Terrence Malick style deal, like where it's just a bunch of random footage almost kind of like spliced together in a coherent way, but it all kind of like ties together in the end.
Yeah,
Nice.
in the very end, everything comes together. And hopefully we can get that drone camera because we want to film like from above.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
If we can, it will be really cool.
So that's a really interesting topic, and so I want to know your guys' thoughts. So when a celebrity like that dies, let's say that is like your favorite songwriter, in a sense, you feel like you have a personal connection to them because you like their music and you understand their music, and music influences different sections of your life. But I feel, my personal feeling is that some people kind of go over the top with it. Like I lived in Seattle when Kurt Cobain died.
Mm-hmm.
And I had friends, we all listened to Nirvana, we were all fans of the whole grunge era. But it was like, are you guys really that sad about Kurt Cobain dying that you're going to spend the next week, take it off work, and then just go sit in front of his house with like a candlelight visual? Or like when with Prince dying, with Bowie dying, all of this, I can appreciate. On social media, it's a little bit easier because I'm going to type something up about it, right? Yeah. But people who it like deeply affects, I guess I've never really understood why that is. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Gosh, that's a hard question. Man, I don't know, because I know that I was extremely upset when Bowie passed away, and I think it's that you just, whenever you love someone that much and their music and their art inspires you that much, I don't know, like it takes on a part of your life. It's kind of ingrained in it, and whenever you know that's going to end, it kind of leaves you feeling a little empty, like that.
Right, that he's not going to release more material.
Yeah,
what about like when bands just stop playing? Because
same
essentially
thing.
you're kind
the same
of
effect.
Yeah. Because
And
I mean, there's not that human element of someone dying, but you're not going to get more music from them.
Yeah. No, I know that I used to be really into this band and they broke up, and I felt the same way. I'm never going to hear any more music from them again, and I don't know.
I think it's, well, I mean, like with Bowie, that was a weird one for me because I'm never the type of person who feels like emotional when like a celebrity dies, because it's like, well, I might have liked them or something. And I mean, I love Bowie's music, but I'm not like, and I don't know, I mean, I know there's a lot of big Bowie fans. I'm not like a huge Bowie fan. Like I don't really own any of his records. I love his music. I think it's great. But when he died, that was probably the first time I've ever like been emotional. Maybe it's because I'm getting older now, but I did feel emotional over it. And I think it's because I respected him personally. I was like listening to his interviews, and I think I was a little bit more personally connected just maybe to him as opposed maybe just like somebody who was a fan of his music. But there's definitely people who are over the top with it. And, whenever something bad happens, like I was saying, we've had a lot of instances this year of like terrible things happening, like celebrity deaths, like all sorts of like controversial things that are, I'm not the type of person who posts about it on social media. Some people are, and some people might feel emotional about it. Maybe that's their way of coping with it, is because they have to like speak out about it and like, or speak to somebody about it. So like social media is a platform a way for them to do it. And then there's people, I think there's like a third kind of group of people who are, I think, maybe do it out of self-promotion too. So like they use these like events and they're like, oh, well, somebody, died, and he's like, I really love them. Now listen to my cover of their song, that I did. Which true. Like happens, and like it's something that kind of
you're spot on, and I feel like there's a majority of the folks are like that.
Yeah,
because some of these people, they'll say, I'm a huge fan of this artist or this artist that died, and it's like, okay, were you really though? Or are you saying it to just get the attention now? Yeah. So I always second guess that. It's just really interesting to me because I feel like you feel like you have a personal connection.
Yeah.
And in some sense you do, because, like songs get you through hard times, in your life, and music has that ethereal, emotional feel to it. But I still can't really understand super deeply how it like affects people to where sometimes I won't even like leave the house for a couple of days. It's like,
yeah.
I think it also depends on your mental state.
That's very true.
You become so obsessed with someone that I think a lot of people create this sort of alternate world where they do know them or something. Yeah. So when that gets taken, you're like...
Absolutely. Even like with social media, like we were talking about earlier, that transparency now. So now you feel more connected to them because you know what they ate for breakfast.
You're like, oh, we're friends. Like, I can go look at his page and, oh, he's going to have brunch.
we were talking about that
strange
yesterday too. I think about social media, how there's like, we were talking, there's this philosopher, God, what's his name? Peter Singer has this theory about like the expanding circle, where it's like human empathy, like over time, like as society kind of merges with other societies, like our level of empathy for other people like expand to just beyond like the people we know personally. Mm-hmm. And I think that with Facebook and social media, it's something, and you can see it happening almost in real time, how like our empathy like expands to people like way beyond like our social circles now. And I think that kind of plays into it a little bit more. So now we have like a little bit more of an emotional connection with these artists that we might have been a little bit more disconnected from, 20 years ago. But nowadays, there are people who post about their lives all the time. Like I don't like, do you know Michelle Bacon at all?
Yeah.
So like she had her grandmother was somebody that she like would post about on social media all the time. Right. And nobody had met her grandmother. But like when she passed away recently, like we all felt like really emotional about it because she'd post about her all the time and like post videos, and like we all like felt like a personal connection with her.
Everyone loved her.
Yeah, everybody loved her grandma as somebody that none of us had ever met her before. So
that's true.
Yeah, and it's like, and you can probably feel like that way about other people now, like your favorite artists, and because you have access to like interviews and you can see them and they're like you get more into like their psyche a little bit, so you have more of like a personal connection with them.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, it was a bummer when we saw that.
Yeah. I was bummed out about it. Yeah, because
it's very sad.
Yeah, I know Michelle. I mean, a little bit. I mean, we played in bands together, but I know her more about like her social media posts. Like I saw more of like her like posting about her grandma all the time, and it's like then when you see something like that happen, you're like, man, why? I didn't know this person, but you get so like attached to it. But that's the way of the future, I guess, is that a lot of our emotional attachment to things is going to be more through
our personal connections are through media a lot now. So,
and it's kind of crazy too. You have like parents nowadays, or like older generations, are so upset by kids like, well, get your face out of the damn screen, because like look at the world around you. And I think in a sense they're right. Like I think you do need to like have a connection to reality, but at the same time, like this younger generation of kids, they're probably going to grow up with more empathy towards other people because of social media, because they're going to be able to have more of a connection to other people that we weren't able to. We grew up in these like societies where like we're still somewhat segregated from like other types of people. Mm-hmm. So like you only grow up with people like that are kind of like you, or like in the same social class, social structure. But now kids like have an access to other types of people that live in like societies completely alien to our society, and so like they're gonna be more, I think, open-minded and have just a completely different outlook on life. So in a way, I think it's a really great thing that they have their heads in their screen. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of like, I'll take a little bit of an opposite, but it's also kind of annoying too when they're driving and they're like, okay, now you can like pay attention to reality and not be looking for Pokemon or whatever.
It is interesting that we talked about earlier, because we talked about horror films and how it's desensitized everyone because of social media, and then social media is also creating empathy.
Yeah,
so it's interesting how humans are adapting to social media just in general, and we're just at the infancy stages of it right now.
Yeah, I know, that's what's crazy. We were talking about Facebook about like 6 years ago, how people interacted, because they have that new like time, or that time, I don't know what it's called. It's like it shows you like your post
time lapse,
or time machine, or what. It's like they show you your post from like 6
previous years.
I don't know what it's called, but you can every day you wake up and Facebook's like, this is what you posted 6 years ago, and it's like totally embarrassing, and you're like, oh my god, like what was I doing? But one thing I thought was interesting about it was seeing how everyone's interactions on Facebook were like so much different back then. It's like it was just like it was like Facebook used to be, and it seems weird to think about it, but it used to be a way for people to like kind of interact one-on-one with people. So like you would post on your friend's wall and then they would post back on your wall.
Right.
But like it's now more of this open forum. And I think that now that when people post on social media, they're not posting like their inner thoughts. It's less of a journal of like their daily lives and more of a forum for them to speak. So now it's like basically you're giving a microphone to like, you know, billions of people and saying like, here, what do you think? And they know there's an audience out there. So like their interactions are just completely different than they used to be. It's evolved into something completely different. So.
Yeah. It's like Facebook's kind of a tool for a lot of people to go, here's what I'm doing. Here's the great things that I'm doing. Here's kind of the highlights of my life. And it was interesting because I was reading an article too about that. And they're saying that a lot of people now think that being sad is like a clinical problem. It's like, no, it's a human emotion, but we're all so used to seeing everything so happy online that we just can't, we're starting to kind of phase that out. And so then what happens? You need pharmaceutical companies that are like, oh yeah, that is a clinical issue. Here's some pills for that. Oh, you're going to send out our reps and all the doctors. And so it's going to be interesting, in my opinion, to kind of see where we go moving forward, especially with AI, right?
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. I'm still like, that one's a little weird, especially when you see like the articles about like what's the like what a meme that was going around where there was like a robot that had like primitive, like I guess in relative like what AI could be, it was primitive like form of AI, but they're like kicking the robot to the ground and stuff, and it's like what, like I don't know if that's what you want to be doing right now.
That movie with Isaac.
Ex Machina.
Yeah, that was an interesting example
that was a really good movie.
Kind of what we need to be prepared for.
Well, and it's funny too because like, yeah, I mean, like I would say like when I was even like a teenager, like all those movies about like even like 1984 is something you still kind of scoff at. People like joke at the idea of like, well, 1984, like it's like become kind of a joke when you use that term, like, well, this is totally 1984, and you're like, haha, okay, whatever. But now you're kind of like, well, you know, it's getting kind of crazy. Like things are starting to kind of like, and you don't want to be like, me personally, I don't want to be like that conspiracy theorist, but like you start to see these things and you're like, huh, okay. Like, it's
the craziest thing lately is when people are like, oh, I was just talking to my friend about this, and now I'm getting these advertisements about this exact same thing. I was just talking, not typing, talking to someone about.
I think that shit's real. Like,
it is, absolutely.
I've noticed that before because I know, I mean, I'm totally okay with like the browsing history thing. Like, well, I'm online looking at something, and then like you see an ad on Facebook. Like, there's been times recently where like, I know I have not been actively shopping for something, but I've been talking to other people about it, and then it'll like appear, and I'm like, okay.
It's happened to me.
That's
too.
weird. Yeah.
It's happening more frequently now.
It's very strange.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a sci-fi thing anymore. I mean, with the NSA stuff and like, I mean, we know it could happen, and it has happened, and it's just like with how much transparency there is with like now. You know, these technology companies, like, you know, what are they, you know, keeping secret and stuff. So without, like I said, sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but because I'm totally
are.
I am too. You're in good company because I am too. Completely.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like totally like, I always like try to be as like rational as possible when it comes to conspiracy theories. But if there's something that looks a little weird and like I can't explain it, like, you know, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not going to try to come to a conclusion, but I'm definitely going to be weary of what's going on because, like you were saying, that whole thing. I noticed that recently. Like, that was weird. I'm just like, why am I getting advertisements?
Right.
But they do have like weird algorithms too that for like your shopping history and a lot of times and stuff like that. So like there was a story of that girl I was telling you about this, that her parents were upset with Target because they started getting coupons in the mail for like diapers and stuff, like maternity clothes and diapers. Like Target was sending these coupons, but it was for her daughter because it was like her daughter's account that she was using or whatever. And her parents got upset, and it turns out her daughter was pregnant, and she was keeping it from her parents, like she wasn't telling them. But it wasn't based off of stuff that she was shopping. Like she wasn't shopping for maternity clothes. She was buying stuff that pregnant women usually buy, like in early stages of their pregnancy. Okay. So it was like cotton balls and stuff like that. But it started like sending her like coupons for items of things that she would need like further down in her pregnancy. Yeah. So it was like they knew she was pregnant almost before she did, just based off of her shopping.
Target exposed her.
But it's kind of crazy that they have those algorithms out there that will know that about like they'll know that you're like pregnant before like you. But basically, by the time you know, like it's crazy. So that's where we are.
That's the scary future, man. Robots don't typically have empathy, and that's what makes us unique as human beings.
Yeah,
because you can get them to come up with like probabilities and You know, they're going to figure out how to do all that chaos theory stuff where, you know, we make decisions just based kind of in the moment off previous history. But that's the big thing is they don't have the empathy. So what's going to drive their decisions?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what the Ex Machina, the whole dilemma in that movie is like, will we ever get to the point where robots are self-aware and then they have to basically they go into like a survival mode. Like, will we ever program that? I mean, it would have to be something that we teach them. We have to program them to like have that. But since we are human and we have our fingerprint on everything that we do, like, could it be like some inadvertent thing that like when we're like creating AI that it just kind of like naturally like kind of seeps into their like programming is like our like fears and our like are just like human nature, you know, and that's the problem that you're going to run into eventually, because we see these articles about people and like the AI, like, you know, the different things they're doing with AI, and it just seems like they're being so careless with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
you're like, what? Like, you guys are smart, like you should know this. Like, yeah, you should know you're not supposed to be doing this. But yeah.
So on a lighter note, so you guys got to possibly some new music towards the end of this year.
Yeah, I mean, at least hopefully with our shows, you'll be seeing some new stuff.
Like we have about 5 songs in the works right now that are like half written. We're planning on taking a weekend soon and just kind of locking ourselves away and trying to get some of them completely finished.
Yeah,
nice.
So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get a few shows going and have some new material out soon.
Yeah, I think we'll this time around start playing our stuff live probably before we start releasing it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it'll take like the kind of the opposite of what we did before, just to try something new.
Yeah, keep it fresh.
Yeah,
exactly.
try to work out new material live. So
yeah, and if you guys are ever open to collaborations, there's a rapper in Kansas City called Secondhand King.
Okay.
He does a lot of doo-wop stuff, and so he's like real familiar with that, and he sings a little bit too now. So I definitely encourage you guys to check him out, because I know you had that remix on one of your tracks, and it kind of like had on Spotify. It's kind of like got that hip hoppy feel to it. Yeah. So just something to keep in mind. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's Secondhand Kings. Did you do a podcast with him too then?
Yeah, he's coming into another one I'm doing. I've been friends with him for a while and just kind of seen him progress, and he's really stamping himself on the whole doo-wop thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, because you really don't hear it in hip hop. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean we're not like super into it, but yeah, we definitely have come from like a trip hop sort of.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that we do is borrowed from that.
Yeah, Portishead.
Yeah. I miss trip hop too. That was a great brief stint in time. Didn't last long, but it was cool when it was around.
Yeah, so, it'll come back around. Music's all cyclical.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're doing now with kind of like the throwback to some of like the 60s psychedelic stuff. Like, I mean, that was like popular 10 years ago. And I thought like doing it now would be like, oh, well, we're way past that like window. Like nobody's going to be into it. But now it's like coming back around. I mean, it's just coming back around again. Like, there's a bunch of bands like is it Pyramids or something?
Pyramids.
Yeah, like they're doing it now. And like, again, and a lot of bands are getting like good radio player doing it too. So you never know. I mean,
that's what's great with music. I think anything kind of goes.
Yeah. Whereas there used to be like specific genre. I mean, you'd have like, you know, like 90s, there was like grunge and like a couple other genres that were popular at the time. And then but nowadays it's like there really isn't. I mean, it's just kind of like whatever goes almost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there is like a specific genre anymore. It's just everything's kind of borrowed and recycled, and it's just all kind of a thing. It's either like rock, hip hop, or like country. Like that's it. Like you can really only like break it down into like 3. There's like the subgenre thing is just kind of like pointless now.
There's so many subgenres too. Holy shit! I'm like, that's a subgenre now. All right,
I think that's why people kind of quit using those terms, and because it's
Yeah, because there's just so many elements from different genres put into one thing now. Right. It's like we don't even know what to call our music. We were discussing that earlier. We were like, I hope he doesn't ask us like what is your music, because we don't know. Or like it's everything, and
it's gonna change too.
Yeah,
and like we know that, and I mean that's the thing. It's like we don't know what we're gonna do next. So what's the point of?
I constantly want to evolve and just try different things.
Yeah.
So
and that's cool, because that's what you want. And when you listen to like a band, I think that's what you want them to do. You want them to change.
Yeah.
You know, you want to hear something different each time they release an album. So But yeah, the whole subgenre thing is pretty funny. I feel like that's become kind of like a joke nowadays almost.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely has.
because it's just so crazy.
I think it's just a result of being able to, like, when you put stuff up online digitally, you gotta have that metadata. So you tag it with just a bunch of words. People just come up just with random shit just to kind of tag it, just in case someone types that in looking for them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything you can put core after now is like, it's like a thing. Something core.
Yeah.
My friend Bobby's really into like I think the whole subgenre joke thing, like something core. Like he always comes up with something like I've never heard. Of course, it's like a relevant thing because he's like super into like social media, so he knows it's a real thing. But like I listen to it, I'm just like, are you serious? What is this?
Yeah, he sends us some strange videos.
Yeah.
The one that I could never really fully understand was post-hardcore. Because I think post-hardcore is going to still be heavy. But
Yeah.
is it just people who used to play hardcore who don't, that play different genre of music now?
Yeah, so like the whole post thing, I guess, was like when the genre, like towards the end of the genre's run or whatever, right? Is that kind of how it?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
means?
like
Yeah.
so, like when like Under Oath and kind of those screamo bands
Yeah.
just started like getting less in popularity. Then this post-hardcore scene kind of came up. Where
Yeah.
Brand New, Thrice. I'm like, that's post-hardcore.
Well, it's because they sing pretty, and then on the chorus they just scream a little.
A little bit of screaming,
There's just like a little touch of screaming in it.
Yeah.
So.
a little peppering.
Yeah, and I think post rock came from when, I guess, in the early 2000s when like Radiohead did like the Kid A, and like there was all this stuff about how rock was dead, and it was a bunch of crap, but like there was whole things like rock and roll's dead, this is the thing now, and I think that's how it was like post rock. And so it was all these like kind of ethereal rock bands that still used guitars, but they're playing music that's like more instrumental. And then post punk, of course, was like Joy Division when punk kind of sort of was dead at that point.
Yeah, or like shoegaze. I get the gaze part, but where does the shoe come from?
So I actually figured this out, and
Okay.
for the longest time I never understood what it was. So shoegaze music, I think, and I could be wrong. Of course, this is gonna be like the Jeopardy person. Like, no, you're wrong. I think it's like music that is like, it's supposed to be more of like kind of like, so it's like when you're at a show or something. Like I feel like an idiot now that I'm saying this. But you're at a show and you're like kind of just staring down at your shoes and kind of like rocking back and forth.
Okay,
So
okay,
like,
I get
that's
behind
where,
that.
like, the shoegaze like sound or like culture kind of comes from.
Yeah.
Maybe I think that's what it is.
I mean, that makes the most sense of anything I've ever
Because you're
heard.
gazing at your shoes.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of looking down instead of like, so it's people who it's like music that maybe is like a little more introspective or something. It's like not as like, like the indie shoegaze bands or like bands where you're just kind of sitting there just kind of like with your head down, like.
Yeah,
Like
it's
kind of
atmospheric-y,
Yeah.
dreamy. Okay,
So I think that's what it means.
Okay.
I don't know.
I get behind that. I get behind that.
We're gonna Google this later and it's gonna be something.
Urban Dictionary it.
Yeah.
I do not support that statement. No, I have no clue. That sounds good to me.
I guess, yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, anything else you guys want to plug? I really appreciate you guys coming in.
Oh no, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just follow us because I think we're gonna try to put together a Halloween show.
That'll be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we always like try to do something on Halloween. Like, of course, last year we released a music video, and because we're big fans of horror and all that stuff, so we want to try to do like a Halloween show this year. So we're working on getting one booked. We don't really have a plan in mind right now, but so keep peeled for that, and then
and for some new music coming out hopefully within the next couple months.
And your website, just follow shadowrabbits.com,
Uh-huh.
and then it links out to all your social media.
Yeah, so it just has all of our social media links on there. And
Very cool. Well, guys, thanks again for coming in.
Yeah,
really
thanks
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
First podcast.
Yeah.